Hey guys, this is Brad from Nile Farm. I'm standing inside my indoor arena. We just got hit with about 6 to 9 inches of snow, and this is our first round, and they're expecting more to come, probably at least another 6 to 9 over the next 24 hours or even more. So I made a video yesterday on how not to destroy your gravel driveway plowing snow, and today I'm going to get on the tractor and I'm going to actually do what I said and do a lot of back dragging and a lot of moving around that snow so we can get in and out of the driveway without destroying my driveway. So hopefully you can get to see it in action. I'm just going to take shots off the cab and hopefully it works out well and you guys can understand what's happening. Now, this snow is wet, it's heavy. My cats have been walking through the snow and you can see that the ground is so warm that it's just, it's going to be a mess. So the last thing you want to do is put that blade down and push forward. And that's, guys who come in with pickup trucks and stuff, they'll push forward and they'll scalp the yard. But if it's your yard and you're plowing your own snow, this is my suggestion, is do a lot of back drag and create a base, and then we build off of that. And over time, when it freezes and hardens up, then you can push with no problem, and you're not going to disturb the gravel underneath. But you got to create a base, and that's what we're going to do today. So we're supposed to have about a week of cold, and depending on how much snow we get, and I am in the snow belt, so we just never know. And Lake Erie is only a mile and a half north of me, so we get dumped on a lot. So, but every year it's been a little different. A lot of times the weather gets a little bit warm, and then it melts and comes back and forth. So there's a lot of back dragging. And last year I think I only had to plow twice because the weather changes have been so nice. So I can't complain about that. So, but this is the first snow of the year. I got to do some plowing, so let's get to it. All right, before I get started, I just want to take you guys for a quick walk to see what I'm talking about. So you can see on this footprint, I'm already stepping and see the moisture on the ground. That tells you the ground's super wet, even the cat prints. So you need to be careful. But as we walk through here, not only do I got an area that I need for parking lot to clear, I got over 600 plus feet of driveway going all the way to the road. And yesterday I was smart enough to go out and put these little markers out so I kind of know where my grass is, because it doesn't take much to forget where you're going. So we're going to go up and down the driveway. Normally I pile snow up at the road, because a lot of times they plow it and push it off, and it's just easier to dump it off to the corners. And this spot right here in front of the trailer is basically a wet zone, and I have a drainage there. So a lot of times I like to pump snow into this ditch and just let it sit there all year. So those are my two big dumping areas that I try to do and pile up snow. And if I get any stone in from my gravel driveway, which I try not to do, try to put it right up in front here, in front of the tree, because then I can kind of get access to and blow it back into the driveway. So I do need to clean an area all the way back by the barns and definitely up in front of the barn. So with that said, we're going to get started and hopefully you get a view of how this works. Okay, we're in the indoor arena, and I'm going to use a 7060 Kubota. There's a 72-inch blade on it. Yeah, just basically a bucket. That's what I prefer to use for plowing snow. Basically, you can see on the indoor arena, which is basically one of those coverall buildings, there's snow sitting on top, and where it's clear, it's actually melting and falling off to the sides. So again, it's warm. The temperature's only like 30 to 32 degrees, so it's not cold at all. It's just, we're just getting hammered with snow. So with that said, whether you're using a back blade, front blade, truck, ATV, four-wheeler, whatever you're using to plow snow, we're all going to basically do the same thing. We're not going to scalp the ground. So let's get out and have some fun. All right, guys, so I never used this headset before. We're going to see how this works out. Hopefully it works out good. You guys can see visual. Like I say, I'm in the indoor. I'm going to back this thing out and then get started. So right at the doorway, I'm coming right out of this barn. I'm going to start back dragging. And I'm not going to go put a lot of pressure down. I just want to just lightly grab that snow, just pull it away. It doesn't have to be hard or tight, but it's just got to get pulled away. and it's wet and heavy snow. So all you're going to try to do is just drop that blade and just pull back flat. And sure, we're squishing the snow to the ground, and that's fine, because all we want to do is get it flat enough that if I bring in a car can travel down the path and it's not going to be bogged down by all that heavy snow. And unfortunately, I can see that I'm pulling dirt, stone. So we're just going to make a pile. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to push it so we make it into a pile. It's not going to be perfect because I'm expecting more snow. I just want to get enough of the snow so a vehicle could travel up and down my driveway, say a passenger car, and not get stuck. I left a big pile of gravel right in front of this door and I never moved it because I was figuring I'm going to have a couple spots where I have to fill in, and I never got to it yet, but I don't think we're locked down for winter yet for the end of the year. Now this snow is heavy. I'm already getting pushed up into an embankment. So what I'll do real quick, just to kind of clear my area, we're just going to push that snow forward. And again, you got to be somewhat careful how you do these things. So you can see the pile hopefully sitting there on the ground. So what I demonstrated in the last videos, I do not want to come down hard and flat like I'm scraping the ground. What I want to do is tilt my bucket so it's actually angled upward a little bit, so I don't push a lot of snow, but I'm able just to push it without scalping it. Scalping is the worst thing you can do. This stuff is wet and heavy, and it packs. So if you were out trying to make a snowman, it would not be a problem. And this is a feel thing. Watch where you're pushing and what you're moving. It'll make a big difference. Very wet and heavy snow. Now the other suggestion I have too, sometimes when you're pushing snow, speed is not your friend. So slow and steady will win the race every time. So if you know you're hitting the ground or you're going to try to do some precision pushing, you're going to have to find what works best for you and your machine. But try to not race through it, because once you start racing, you're going to hit that gravel and you're going to start bringing up material. Like I said, I know that most people don't want to cause that kind of problem. And I'm trying to get a feel right now of what works best for me, because again, this is the first push of the year, and this is probably the most crucial time, I guess you want to say, so you don't want to screw anything up. All right, so that's that. So let's run up to the road and start working on that little project. Now I like to do everything up in sections. What I mean by sections is I work my driveway. Sometimes it's not always about going up right to the road and working back. I like to work a section of it and just drag it back in increments. Because again, the more snow you drag back, the harder it's going to be. So I know right now where I want to dump my snow is back at that other spot. So right now I'm just going to tilt, start going backward. And I'm going to go all the way back to where we dumped. All right. So now we'll go forward again and we'll start back dragging some more. So right now, I'm actually on the crown of my driveway. And I know this is the crown. I'm in the center. And I'm overlapping. I'm not going to be going blade to blade. I kind of like to overlap a little. See, I'm seeing I'm actually hitting some stone, and you can see that there too. So I had to angle up a little bit because I really don't want to take all that stone with it. I would rather use this tractor and flatten that snow out and pack it than I am to really remove it. And that's really the name of the game here. Keep the stone in your driveway and pack it down. Because right now, if you could see, if that thing's packed like it is right now and you could see stone, you know a car can drive up and down that without a problem. And that's really what we're trying to do, to create a base without creating damage. Because it's so soft, I'm really somewhat hesitant of dropping that blade down too tight. Because I know I'm going to be dragging stone if I'm not careful. I see a lot of stone coming with that one. Here's an example. You can look down, see how much stone that actually got ripped up? And that's because the ground's so soft. I really don't want to do that. I want to push that stone back in or flatten it out. Because that's what's going to happen is I don't mind pushing it and rearranging it come springtime. What I really don't want to do is tear it off my driveway and throw it on the ground. So I might just leave it right where it sits and just pack it. We'll come back and re-level that as we go today. So we're going to move up a little bit and do another section. And my sections are probably 50, 60 foot sections. I'm not just grabbing a little bit, I'm kind of working my way up. Now I'm not putting this in float position at all, I'm just going with it. I'm just feeling it and letting it go. And I know we're going to get more snow, so there's really no reason to kind of go crazy. Speed it up a little bit going forward. when this stuff packs down, it really isn't that bad once you deal with it. So just, if you never saw my first video about how to do this, my markers are about 1.5 feet off the side of the driveway. So they're really, you know, when I get close to those markers, I'm really kind of working on a high ridge of mixture of almost like grass and stone. And you know, not right now I'm working up toward the house. I'm just going to keep going back. Try not to look backward because of the camera, but it's kind of hard to do with this unit on my head. Now you can see though, you know, it's, even though I got like say 6 to 9 inches depending on where you're at, you know, this is pretty smooth. I mean, I'm down to the gravel part where you can easily take a car and drive down and not worry about getting stuck. And that's really what the name of the game is trying to create a solid base that you're not distorting the stone, because I'm telling you right now, it's only going to be in the 30s. This stuff can melt tomorrow, and it might not. But you know, there's no sense in creating a lot of damage just to clear a driveway when you don't really need to, just by smoothing it out. You know, cars, trucks, you know, you get stuck driving through big heavy stuff. It's not, you're driving across ice. Ice and compact snow is not a big deal. It's just going across, getting stuck. All right, so now we're up toward the house. What I might do is just maybe, at this point, switch around. I'm going to drag everything back toward the road. And really, this is the most traveled part of my driveway. 600 foot. And for most people watching this video, this is what you're concerned with anyway. You know, a parking lot, you're going to do relatively the same thing. So I'm going to actually go up toward the road, drag it back off the road, then I'm going to start dragging it forward. You know, the one part for me up the road is this, my ground is very flat. But when it comes down to getting up my driveway, I'm kind of like have to go up a little incline. So when the snow plows come, and they blow all the snow in the front, trying to pull out, sometimes this becomes to be an issue. So my plan is to actually pull this backward onto my driveway so I can start working it. And you can see it's already starting to melt. But we're going to do the same thing. We're going to back drag. Real simple. Just drag it right back in your driveway. Now my bucket really doesn't have like a crazy tilt to it. It's almost just probably tipped forward 4 or 5 inches. So really, I'm not really pulling a lot back. So now I'm kind of like feeling like I'm hitting like a lump. So I'm going to try to give this a real easy push because they're going to have to pile it off to the side. You know, it's the nature of the beast in this time of year. I would rather leave more snow in the driveway than it is to push it off to the corners until we get that base. You know, and I could see I caught a little bit of stone, but not a whole bunch. That's where I'm at. As far as so far pulling it backward. It's amazing how wet this stuff is. I mean, it's really heavier snow than I expected this morning. But it's wet because it's hitting the ground, and the ground just, I think, partially melting it. Now, if you really want to get on your driveway, and say you scrape this thing up, and you have it, you know, even if you're doing a back dragging, you don't be afraid to salt your driveway if that's your thing. You know, because you can easily salt a gravel driveway and have all this melt, and you don't have to worry about the ice. You know, and it'll probably work for you just the same. You know, especially if you're one of these people that live on it. You have snow and you're on a hill, and you're driving either down a hill or have to drive up a hill. You know, hills are no fun on snow. So I have a bunch of snow in here that I kind of have to move piles and just kind of kick it off. So I'm going to try to tilt my blade back a little bit, but not be totally on the ground. And I want to go slow enough just to push this to get that pile out of my way. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to flip around, and I want to finish this driveway and drag now that I kind of have the mouth of the driveway open, I'm going to flip around you can kind of see, hopefully looking back, the driveway. I'm going to drag all that snow back toward me from the driveway all the way to the road, and now I'm going to push this stuff. Anything that I drag back here is going to be pushed off to the side. Now I'm going to do increments, so I'm going to start here and go back to the road. I'm really amazed how wet this is. It's kind of crazy. Now, if you have an open air tractor or open cab tractor, it's not as fun as having a nice warm cab. And I'll tell you, that's one thing I'm glad I've done is buy a cab tractor. Because I do a lot of hay, so I always try to stay out of the weather. And, you know, if it's hot in the summertime, at least I have some air conditioning. And then what's worse is if you have a hornet's nest, and at least inside the cab, you're not going to get attacked. So there's a lot of benefits for me to have a cab in my area, but you know, for most of my life, I've always had no cab, and it kind of really did not make plowing snow that enjoyable, especially when it's blowing hard or it's sub-zero out. You can't do anything. But since I got the cab tractors, I mean, I love cabs. I mean, for me, this is just the only way to do it, and it actually makes it a little bit fun to come out here and do snow. All right, so we kind of got some of that built up. So I'm going to go up a little farther, and I'm going to still drag more back again. Now, I'm not expected to do a perfect job today. I just want to get enough so we can travel up and down this driveway. Because like I said, I'm expecting more snow to come, and at least it gives me a foundation. Now, if the ground freezes, it's more likely to freeze more now that I cleared it than I left that blanket of snow on top. I need to look backward a little bit. Girlfriend's gonna go to work, and she got her car trying to get that all brushed off with snow. See that she doesn't have a snow brush. Not shocked by that. So the more you come back and pack, I think you're starting to see this thing starting to conform and tighten down. And that's really what we're looking for. Like I said, sometimes once you get that foundation, you're in good shape. Now, if I was using a tractor with a 3-point right now, which I've used many times over, like say a back blade or say a landscape rake, the key to this is just drop until you're barely touching the ground and go forward. And that's it. Make sure you're not off on an angle where one side's hitting high and one's hitting low. Try to keep everything straight. And it makes a huge difference. Your success will be so much greater. You can start to see now it's all coming together. You pretty much have about 600 plus feet of driveway cleared. So it makes it a little bit easier to just, drive up and down it without a problem. And like I say, finding your honey spot and going slow and easy makes a big difference. So at this point, I can start it up a little farther and just clean it up, and keep dragging a little more snow, and that's what I'm going to do. So this is really just giving you guys a quick gist of how it works, and I'll show you when I'm done with this main driveway what it looks like. So, hopefully this will give you a lot of guidance. And the biggest thing is back drag, back drag. The more you can do this, the better, and don't be aggressive on it. My tractor here is a float position. I don't even want to touch the float because then it's going to put too much downward pressure. Sometimes I just want to go nice and easy and not put that kind of pressure down. And that's something you're going to have to figure out on the conditions that you deal with. And that's really what it comes down to is, are you managing it and dealing with it with the right conditions? You don't have to have a first-rate, setup on this. All you want to do is pack it and let Mother Nature do the rest. Because I'll tell you, once this freezes and once everything's solid, and say we had, say, 30, 28, 30 degrees consistently for a week, and this ground gets really hard and the snow covers up all your stone, you could plow, drop that blade and stay straight and have no problem whatsoever plowing your driveway the way you should, quick and easy, because you set yourself up for success building a base. The base is everything. And if you do this, in my opinion, you'll be more than happy. And if I was plowing with a truck, I would do the same thing. I would leave a lot of debris down and pack it. I'd back drag. The problem is guys that go forward, even if they're trying not to hit stone, they hit it. Not every driveway is perfect. And if you're going in an imperfect driveway or one that's well crowned, you're driving straight, you can just take that crown and rip it right off. And that's terrible. The guy puts a lot of money in trying to get his driveway done right. If you're lucky enough to plow your own driveway, you're going to take a little bit more concern on how you're ripping it apart. And this, to me, is one of the best ways to do it. And you're going to have a lot less problems. Now, if we get 2 inches or dusting, all I have to do is come back out here, back drag it again if I need to, and it's going to be taken care of. But the best part is, I'm not wrecking my driveway. I'm not removing that gravel. And that is a huge, huge difference. Look at that puddle where the car was. There's nothing but wet. I'm going to tilt a little bit and get a little more aggressive because I'm going to get this crust out. All right, so I'm going to continue to finish this up, but there you can see going all the way pretty much from the road all the way back to my barns. It's cleared and it looks pretty good and it's flat, smooth. And that's, can't ask for much better than that. So here's a final overview of the entire driveway. And you can see I scraped a little bit of the gravel, back dragged it, but it didn't leave the driveway. It's still in the driveway. And nothing's pushed off the side of my driveway just by back dragging. And you can clearly walk across this driveway or drive across this driveway without a problem. And it's all through back dragging. If you would push forward, you're just going to rip that driveway to hell. And like I say, once this freezes and it gets more base of snow on top of this, you can plow forward till you're heart's content and you'll have no problem. But that first snow, it just kills you. And like I say, it's not cold at all and everything's very wet still. So, and we're expecting more tonight. So by me plowing and taking what I did off, as the ground freezes and gets colder, it's more likely to freeze up now than it would be if it has layers of snow on top of it. So I'm kind of doing myself a favor by doing this. But you guys use kit gloves and be really smooth and slow, and you really take your time to do this well without tearing into that gravel. That's just my opinion. This is what works for me. And any passenger car can drive up and down this driveway right now and not have a problem. And I know that my driveway is intact because I took the time to do a lot of back drag and not going forward. And it works out good. And again, if you have a 3-point implement, you can do the same thing. Just do not drop it too low. That's really what it comes down to. Do not drop low. And here's from the other side. Up by the barns, it's just a big mess up there. I'm just going to let it kind of be what it is. But the main driveway, which is my biggest concern, is done, and I'm happy with that. And you can see up here how wet it is and how soft it is. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully that was informative, and at least I was able to show it to you guys basically how I'm actually plowing the driveway. Back dragging is really the key, and the quicker you can get on top of it, the better off you'll be. You know, and once that ground starts to freeze, then you can go forward and plow like you really want to plow. But until you get initially started, you definitely don't want to disturb your gravel and make a big mess. And just scraping it lightly is the key. You know, I had some real wet spots in here and I got pretty low, but I know I did not tear up my driveway and I didn't lose that much gravel. And that's the important aspect of things. So with that said, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Hey, and then there's another video I made about how not to destroy your gravel driveway. Take a peek at that, and it kind of goes into depth and more detail of the thinking behind this. But other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys soon.